I see you're rocking the Yeti. I'm also rocking a Yeti. This is not
Yeah,
sponsored.
it's it's pretty life-changing. I got my Final Fantasy Sephiroth there, and then
Nice.
I got Casey's dog sleeping, the other guitarist of the band. He just made those stickers and gave them to everybody, so
I like less is more. So this one is from Rock and Roll Utopia in Seattle, which is like this bar slash museum where Nirvana apparently used to practice. It was like a practice space, and then whoever the owners turned it into a pub. So I was like, I gotta have that sticker.
that's cool. Yeah.
You said you're in tech. What do you do for like work outside of the band?
Oh, I do broadcast engineering, so, like, live sporting events.
Oh,
I'm,
cool.
either the engineer in charge or tech managing. Um, I started with, like, doing Mets games and, just working, New England Patriots and stuff around here, filling at the Garden sometimes, doing the scoreboard shows. So, it's just like, sports and stuff like that. So, it's
Yeah.
fun. It's good work, and it keeps me you know, it pays the bills, and it keeps me, engaged, and, I had this opportunity pretty early with Astronoid. We put out air, and I was doing my career stuff in the broadcast industry, and it was either jump or don't jump, and I chose to jump with the band, and I've been doing it ever since, and I have nice 2 parallel paths. I have my work, and I have my band, and I'm able to do both, and I don't know, it doesn't get any better than that, so and I like them both.
That's cool. 2
Yep.
lives. How did you get into the tech stuff, and how did the tech stuff lead to sports? It seems like such a crazy path.
Yeah, a friend of mine so we went to college together, and, he got an internship at that place, like, right out of college. We both went for audio engineering, and he got the internship, and he's like, "Dude, you should do this. It's good money, it's interesting work, and, you know, you have a good sense of signal flow." I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot," and, it ended up being fun, and, it's very tiring, very long days, but it's okay, and, so, yeah, I don't know, it just kinda happenstance. He got the internship, and he's kinda dragged me around, our whole career, and I'm very thankful to him for that, so.
Is there, uh is there any stuff or any work within your career, within your job from a tech perspective that helps you as a musician, whether it's like writing, recording, or in the studio?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I build all of our fly packs and, our stage stuff. So, like, all of our racks and our RF gear and, so all of our light packages that we use live, I build. So I design and put it all together for our shows and our in-ear monitor rigs. So it's like it they both work very well together because my love of trying to figure it out is like, um, what is the word I'm looking for? It's just, um my knowledge in the broadcast industry, I can put it together. So,
I always find the backstory fascinating because you have people that have a certain sound with music or a look or a vibe, and most of the time, fans see it and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to emulate that," or "How did that happen?" And more often than not, it's organic. It's just like, "Oh, I just happen to be really into Dungeons& and Dragons and death metal, and so that's how
yeah.
this came to be." How did your musical project like, how did Astronoid evolve? Was it first music and then the tech, or did they kind of converge together?
No, it was definitely to get together because I was in school and Dan and I were in the same classes together with Jared, the guy from who ended up bringing me to the broadcast industry. So
Yeah.
we had a final project where we needed to just like record a band. And I went up to Dan and I was like, dude, I got 2 songs. Like, I'll just play everything myself. And that's the worst part of that project. You have to, like, wrangle, you know, these kids, and, like, people our age, but, everyone's flaky and whatever. So I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"I'll play everything." I have 2 songs for it, and, that ended up being the November EP, and, I don't know, I was really into Yesu, and I was really into Alcest, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'll just write 2 songs like that," and I demoed them in my dorm room, and, I just recorded them in the UMass Lowell studios, and,
Nice.
that's what we did, and then we put it up online for the hell of it, um, and it kind of it didn't take off, but in the way it does,
Mhm.
on Bandcamp and whatever. And um, yeah, it just sort of became a project after that with Dan and I. And then we brought people in around us that we just really like to play with, just like friends. And it was cool. It was really organic. And the thing with Astronoid is I've always just followed like whatever I'm into and whatever I want to do. And to some other people's chagrin, that's why we don't sound like Air like every album. It's like you guys caught me when I was into that stuff, and Air was in
Yeah.
that time and place. And it's not what I'm into. I'm 10 years older now, and this is what I'm this is what I'm into now. I'm into 80s synth rock, so I don't know. Here we are.
I love that. I love how things come together organically. I mean, I'm in university. I had quit a baseball career, which landed me in your area, which we can talk about later. But so I got this baseball career, which I gave up on. I was always number 13. That was like just my favorite number. I was fascinated by vampires at the time.
It's my
And
birthday. I was born on August 13th.
of course you were. Why wouldn't you have been?
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's kind of like how V13 started. It was Vampire 13 for my baseball number, just got shortened to V13. And then I was also a sociology major, philosophy minor, studying all kinds of different philosophers and ideas around that. And that was, for me, the evolution of V13 media, which in lead speak is just la vie, life, because Friedrich Nietzsche once said, without music, life would be a mistake. And so that's that crazy journey of 20 years to like what this company is. How did you pepper in? I mean, we know the text there, the music's there, but how did you pepper in the space and the outer space and themes of spaceships? Like you have one behind you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm a big X-Files fan, so I have the I Want to Believe poster. Um, I've always loved sci-fi, and I would say like the main, well, 2001: Space Odyssey has always been like my favorite
Hell yeah.
movie, and it always has me thinking. And whenever I watch it, I find new things, and I find it very interesting and intriguing that like no one really knows what it's about, and
Mm,
you kind of have to fill that in yourself. And I've also loved like the Twilight Zone and all that stuff. And so, but basically, like my dad and I, we would just watch every sci-fi movie, when we were growing up, and they all sucked. Most of them sucked, but that's the fun of it. So with Astronoid, the whole thing was we were playing Mass Effect 3, which had just come out when we were doing that project at school, and I screwed up saying either asteroid or astronaut. And then we
mm,
both laughed about it, and then we named the song after it, and then I named the project after it when we put it on Bandcamp. So I was like, "Oh, we'll just do that." So the space themes, um, it's not as much in the music as it is in, I don't know, I guess in our artwork and atmosphere. But in the beginning, I had these like ideas. It was like pretty much what Starset did. It was like, yeah, we're gonna wear like suits and stuff, but that's not really for us. That's not really us. And
mm,
as we're going on, you get more comfortable in your skin. And so pretty much the sci-fi aspect is more um, philosophical, I guess, like, from what you're saying, your love of philosophy and all that stuff of just like
yeah,
where we're going, um, what we're doing. Like there's a lot of like thinking about and talking about dreams and like realities and um, stuff like that and Stargod. And I guess that's like a big part of that is especially the way it begins and ends, just like saying goodbye to like everything we've done in the past, and then
hmm
this is like what we're doing now. And then the end of the album is basically just, you know as horrible as things get, like I want to keep, if this is a dream, I want to keep dreaming, so
yeah,
um it's still worth experiencing. So the sci-fi element, it's not quite in the lyrics, but I like using that imagery when I can. And like,
that makes sense.
the voyage and the like embarking and the arrival and like that kind of space thing. It ties it together, and I think it makes it fun and a little more interesting.
I mean, there's so much that you've already said that kind of like puts that together. I'm gonna try and do so because I mean, you said X-Files and the truth is out there, and you mentioned, you know, I mean, I guess the monolith, right, in Space Odyssey, and it's all
Yeah,
open to interpretation, and it's this whole weird metaphor about life is a journey into the unknown, into the abyss, and all of it's beautiful and terrifying, and all we can choose to do is keep riding and see where it goes. And once you
yeah,
get to the end, it doesn't matter what it meant because it's just gonna repeat like
yeah.
like Space Odyssey.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like that next, um the next step in human evolution is is I think my interpretation of the movie is, um, it's like AI is that next
Mm.
step of the of humanity, and, like, the kind of, merging of, you know, what we are and making it into a like, an eternal basically an eternal being, kinda like Lawnmower Man. You see that movie?
No, I
Pierce
haven't.
Brosnan? Oh, it's fucking horrible, but it's great. It's one of those, like it's one of those '80s movies where it's just, like, cutting edge, like Tron, like, special effects, real bad, but, like, it's great. It's based on a Stephen King novel. Um, I'm gonna spoil Lawnmower Man. Do you want me to spoil it? Do you
I'm fine
care?
with it.
Okay.
Listeners tune out. No, no, but spoil it for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
me. I don't.
So, here you go. A 50-year-old Stephen King short story I'm gonna spoil. So, pretty much this guy, he has mental problems, basically, learning disabilities, and this scientist starts experimenting on him, and the experiments start building his brain back up, and basically, he's getting smarter and smarter and smarter to the point where he's evolving, his brain is evolving, and then he actually, puts himself into, like, the digital realm, and, like, that is his next step of evolution is, like, becoming, like, pure energy. And I always found that, like, being super cool. Like, he surpasses the scientist, and he starts doing the experiments himself, and, like, it's a very interesting concept. And, that was, like, I used the basically, I ripped it off with Stargazer, like, the early EP we have. And, so it's another one of those movies and stories that is, like, a common thread throughout all of, like, Astronoid stuff. Like, I'm always thinking about that. I'm always thinking about, like, that becoming the pure, like, energy, consciousness, because it's like
Mhm.
it's still there. It's like his consciousness is still there. It's just no longer in, like, the physical organic realm, you
Yeah.
know? So
There's like this recurring theme in life and so many of the things that we're referencing now of like humanity chasing a better version of itself or thinking that we're imperfect and so we have to improve on something. And then in that pursuit of perfection, we end up destroying ourselves. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I mean, for Halloween, I go through a bunch of movies. I try to like mix up old school and new school. My girlfriend had never seen The Fly, you know, and it was the
So
same
good.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the guy's like science and trying to like teleport and do all this stuff, and then he evolves, and then that is inevitably his destruction, his
Yes.
demise.
I have one more thing for you. If you haven't read The Jaunt, you need to read The Jaunt. It's a
All right.
Stephen King short story. It's mind-blowing. I'm not gonna
Hey
spoil it.
man,
It's too
if
good.
if I'm not leaving this conversation with homework, then we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I read it recently and I was like, "This is ridiculous." It's very similar to, like, The Fly in the sense of, like, I don't know, it's just cool. It's
All
cool.
right, I'll check it out.
The
What I
Jaunt.
love about what you said too is that, you know, I guess going back to what I was saying about everything just being a natural evolution with the band, you took your passions and your interests and what was happening in your life, and that led to Astronoid and even the name, like being an air or a joke, and that continues forward. How important is organic discovery, authenticity to you and to your art creation?
Oh, it's paramount. It's, like, the number 1. I've tried doing, like I didn't try Air 2, but I tried writing, like, just there's, like, full albums that haven't come out by us, you know? It's just like if I'm not feeling it, if I don't have an emotional connection to the music that I'm putting out, then I'm not gonna put it out. And
Mm,
it's like I authenticity needs to be number 1, and Um, I was a little afraid when Stargod was kind of on the back burner to be released because I didn't know what people were going to think of it. It's an obvious uh new direction for us, but we just if it was authentic, and I knew it was coming from an authentic place, and I was
Mhm.
hoping that when it did come out and people heard it, it came across that way.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it did. From what I've read, I don't read too much about it because I learned early on not to do that. Because
Avoid the reviews.
people's expectations are, you know, I don't know. They are what they are. I can't change them. I want them to want whatever they want, but with this record, I was like, no, you're getting what I want this time, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. I mean, that's so intrinsically important to creation, right? Is like if you're not in life as well, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not appeasing yourself, and not in a selfish, egotistical kind of way, just in a spiritual way, if you're not consumed by what you're doing, then you're missing the point. Why are you making an album for someone else? It should be for
Right.
you.
Yeah. If you're not excited about the art you're making, it's not going to be good. Um, there were like two major things that helped me. The Rick Rubin book came out.
Yes.
And I read that, and it literally, like, I wouldn't have wrote Stargod without that book. It gave me the confidence to just do whatever I want. And
Mhm.
um, there's a line that always kind of sticks in my head is he used this analogy of like you need to be the fisherman, and you just have to always have your line in the water. You can't control the fish, but you can control if the line is in there. That pretty much
Mhm.
sums up what you were saying. But so for this record, I just made it so like I just left my computer on some days, and I would just leave the room, and then I'd go down, and my studio's in the basement, so my laundry machine's over there. So I would like do laundry. I'd throw something in the dryer and be like, yeah, I'll just sit down. Like it's all on. My synths are all plugged in. Everything's ready to go. I'm just gonna sit and write for like 10 minutes, and just having that line in the water the whole time. And this is the most fun I've had since Air writing an album. Like I can hear it when I listen to it, but it really was so fun to write and just, other than like the horrible things happening in life, but
For
the
sure.
music, it was a fun album to work on, and it was very therapeutic.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too, because I know that there was a lot of stuff happening to you and some of the other band members. But before we get into that, I'm so happy you referenced the Rick Rubin book because not only is that a big one for me, but it's come up on previous conversations where I don't know. There's just so many lessons in that are poignant and well said. Uh, this concept of not focusing on the end result, on keeping all of your energy on the creation because the end
Yeah.
result is naturally going to occur anyways. That
Yeah,
was
that
such an important
the
lesson.
what was it? The demoitis was another big one. Just like getting caught up in like the way the demo sounds and like, you
Mhm.
know, and crafting a house. Like you need to have the foundation, and it needs to look like a house, but it doesn't have to be a house right away. It's just like there's the bones, and then you could
Yeah.
fill in the rest as you go. So I don't know. There's a bunch of really useful stuff. I didn't even finish the book. I just did what he said, and I opened it and I jumped around. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna turn it to this line and see, pick this sentence and see if it connects to me. I used the book as the book told me to. It was great.
Yeah.
I just found it at an
I
airport one day too. Like I was just at an airport. I just walked into the airport, like,
the
bookstore.
book?
Yeah. And it was just there. And I saw that brilliant artwork. It's just a circle with a dot. And I was like, what is that? I gotta look at that just because of that. And then I was like, oh, it's a creative book. Oh, it's by Rick Rubin. And I just bought it right there. It was weird.
Is
Really,
it?
really weird happenstance.
I don't know if, like, if it's happenstance or if it's meant to be. It's one of those things in life where you wonder, like, why did this happen now? What are the odds? Around the time that, I started to get into some of the stuff that Rick was saying, I also got, like, a video fed to me. And being an entrepreneur is hard. It's just like a musician. Like I'm putting all of my eggs in one basket. There's no
Yeah.
backup plan. I believe in what I do so much, and much like you, I'm impassioned by it. I wake up and it's all I can think about, and I'm so thrilled with everything that's coming out and working with the team and helping other people. But you get focused on the numbers, you get focused on success, and none of that is being present. And it was around that same time that I got this video from a guy. I don't know who. And he said, life, money, success, all of it is like a butterfly. You doesn't matter what size net you build, and if the net is got a trigger and you can fire it, or if there's like, sleeping gas in the net, all of that is harder than just waking up and building a garden and making a beautiful garden that attracts the butterflies. So rather than going out and chasing one or two here or there, build something beautiful that you love. And, I guess if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot more work to do, I think, what Astronoid does. Just like with the genre of music that whatever we are, that we choose to play, we're not inviting, we're not casting a big net out.
Mm,
So you, if I'm artistically, satisfied and satiated, then it's worth it. And the other guys in the band feel the same way. Like
yeah.
we've got to do some fucking killer tours. Can I swear? Can I
Hell
swear?
yeah.
Okay. We've got to do some amazing tours with some of our favorite bands, playing the music we love and
Mm,
not making any sacrifices, you know? We've just been who we are, and, we're that's like, I don't need validation, but I'd rather have that validation than just money,
definitely.
because it's artistically, I'm satisfied artistically.
Yeah. There's this crazy concept that I think most people don't get. And even if you get it, it's still difficult. Regardless of what your creation is, whether it's a company or music or a painting, you do things organically and authentically and for yourself, and then your audience finds you. You don't
Yeah.
find an audience. You can't go out and market, something to a bunch of people and say, "That's my demographic. I'm gonna do this." Your demographic will naturally appear. And then I think marketing is a mirror. It just becomes this outward reflection of what I'm doing, maybe a amplification of it rather than trying hard to really find this niche or that. Do you feel like that resonates with you as an artist, that same concept?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really much into social media. I don't really like to share personally. Like I've tried it and I just can't. I don't know. I have no draw to share what I'm doing, and I feel like the music speaks for itself, and um, the band is like how much can you other than going out and playing. How else can you do this? Like
Mhm.
I don't know how else to bring fans to Astronoid other than just doing what we do and doing what we do very well, you know?
Yeah.
When I go out, I wanna be the best band on the bill, and when we go out, I won't I just wanna be good people too, you know? So, that's the most important thing to me, and it's just like, if I wanna make money, I could probably, I don't know, try writing more pop music or, I don't know, something like that, but it's not about that, like, luckily, I have my work and I have a very supportive family where I'm able to do this obscure music. And
Mhm.
Stargod is I think it's easier to get into. It's like the door is a little bigger on this album in terms of production and songwriting. It's like simpler, but that was the point. And it wasn't to get more fans in. It was just to that's what I wanted to hear. It's like my daughter wants to put on Stargod all the time. I'm like, "Yeah, sure. We'll get that, I don't know, point 0.4 cents on Apple Music." So, but, no, I'm really proud of it. So,
As you should be, and I'm happy that you're, putting it down for the family too. We'll transition into family in a second. Oh man, I had a thought and I lost the thought. I hate when that happens when you're flowing
I'm
along.
sorry. I
That's
know.
okay, it's not your fault, that's not your fault at all. Oh, yeah, you were talking about social media, and I totally agree with you because I was off social media for forever, maybe a decade, if not longer, and, then obviously this podcast I did came together, and, while I have company socials that are thankfully managed by someone younger and smarter, um,
Yeah.
I said, "I need to do this for me," but much like you, I don't wanna be contrived and do videos of myself and talk into the phone and no one
It's not
cares.
me.
Yeah, not me.
It's not who I am. I like how it's like what we were talking about earlier. How can I do something if it's not authentic? You know, it's like, hey, it's me. I don't want to do this, but here I am. You know, I
Yeah.
don't mind doing stuff for the Astronoid channel, like our social media, but at the same time, I still don't know what to say. You know, I'm just like, here's a riff that I like or something. You know,
Yeah. Well, I think that's why this, podcast format is being so embraced, is because it is authentic, it is organic, it's 2 people having, like, a very open dialogue, and then what better way to share the content authentically and naturally than just take clips from this type of a conversation and put that outward, so if people say, "Well, what does the album mean?" or "Where does Brett come from?" and "What is Chris's thoughts on this and this?" Well, here they are. I don't have to, like, diatribe to the camera because 'cause we're doing
yeah.
it to each other.
Yeah, it's not like I'm hiding. I'm not like there's no secrets. I'm not trying
Yeah,
to, it's just like I'm not on Instagram. you
sure.
know, but like I'll talk to people and I'll do interviews and I'll do all that stuff and I'm happy to do it. I like doing it. But it's just like
So,
I don't know. What am I going to put a picture up of? I don't know. I don't have anything that anybody cares
there's
about.
only so many spaceship photos you can post.
Just random ones. Yeah. Hey, look at this one. I like this spaceship or a
Uh,
Lego spaceship.
true, and Lego is
Yeah.
always cool.
Yep.
Um, you mentioned family. You've been through a lot. Before we talk about, like, the heaviness and how that might have impacted the music and some of the amazing lessons that you learned about tenacity, and mindset, what was your family like? Like, what was the upbringing like, and how did you get into music?
Oh, my upbringing was great. I had, my mom and dad, my sister, younger sister, and they're really my dad's really into sports and but he always loved music. But I grew up playing hockey and baseball and also drums around like I wanted to play drums my whole life, but I didn't I got my set in 4th grade and I started taking like in school lessons then. And basically, like, he would just play music constantly. Um, all the '80s stuff, like, lots of Elton John, lots of Steely Dan, um, another Supertramp was it's probably you probably didn't listen to Supertramp that much, but I love Supertramp, and, so, like, all that stuff, Genesis, all the stuff that it's funny that have influenced me or Stargod, um so, it is funny, like, it is organic of, like, it's going
Yeah,
back, like, I did grow up with all that stuff. I was born in the '80s, and, like, that early '90s area, that's what was out. You were still listening to '80s music. It's
yep,
like, it's us just listening to music 5 years ago or 6 years ago. It's not a very large, amount of time. So, when it came time, I was starting to get punished at hockey practice because I would be late because I had percussion ensemble right before it. So my dad, he was just like, "You got to make a choice," and he let me, make whatever choice I wanted, and I chose drums.
mhm,
And yeah, it's just like, which was the best thing I ever could have done. I wasn't going to become a professional hockey player, and I don't know. I don't consider myself a professional musician, but I think I am. um, so yeah, it's just right from there. It's just that's all I wanted to do anyways is to play drums and write music, and I play guitar at the same time. It's just I never took any lessons, so I just taught myself.
mhm.
So I've always played guitar and drums in parallel, and I think that made me a much better drummer, because I had like a sense of melody and um, I don't know, just being able to serve the song with drums is really important to me, and I think playing guitar allowed me to do that. So,
Sounds
yeah, music is just all encompassing all the time. And Casey, I've been friends with since like 6th grade. So, we've known each other since 4th grade. But, so we were in bands together that whole time, and just, like, trying to do stuff. We had our band Thanks for Nothing. That was like a punk metal thing. It was like a mix of No Effects and At the Gates. It was awesome. And
Cool.
then, we had what was our other Hetfield and Hetfield in college, which was, like, Coheed and Cambria and, like, Fall of Troy and, like, super mathy. And, it was funny because, like, Astronoid was intended to be the opposite. It was like, this is gonna be like, we got our mathy, stupid, like, all that bullshit band. Casey sang, I played drums, and then I was like, "I'm gonna write chill song form," you know, and just, like, sort of atmospheric stuff, and it changed over time, but that was the idea. So he's been with me the whole time, and we've been, really good friends.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you had a lot of, love and positivity and even encouragement from family and friends along your path. Was there any part of your dad that was like selfishly happy when you went down your other path with your other career and you were working with sports again?
I think so, yeah, because well, he had a cool situation too because he went to Northeastern and played goalie there, and then, he got, like, hooked up with the skate in Boston, where he was playing with all of his, like, heroes, like Ray Bork and Reggie
Oh, cool.
Lemlin and Brad Park and Terry O'Reilly. Like, it was like a once a week skate, and he was doing it with all these ex-Bruins. So he was living his dream once a week playing hockey with all of his heroes? So, like, that was really cool. But when I got back into sports, he thought it was cool. But he saw how much I love drumming, and he loves music so much that he was happy that I took that path. He wasn't disappointed because he saw me run with it.
Uh,
It's not like I chose and like gave up. It was quite the opposite. I went through college, I got my degree, and I had to do performance the whole time. So, um, yeah, I think he was good. He, like I said, he had his doing his cool skate. Getting called by Ray Borg. Hey, can you do this skate on Friday? You know, cool
yes,
shit.
yes, I'll be there.
Yeah, yeah.
I I played ball semi-pro and I played in the World Junior Baseball Championships in 98, I think, or 97 in Moncton, New Brunswick. And I did 1 year in the US. And I happened to end up at Roger Williams University in Bristol, Rhode Island. And I was,
Hmm.
playing ball in that area. So I did come up to Massachusetts and hit Boston and a couple of these other schools for tournaments and stuff like that. It's such a beautiful part of the US, and I especially loved it in the fall. There was something about being, like, coast side, is that how you say it? Coast side, coastal? Oceanside in the
Sure.
fall in Rhode Island was just so rad.
Yeah, I'm in New Hampshire, and I live in the middle of the woods. It's like our house is just, you know, it's just cut out of the woods, and,
Cool.
it's beautiful in the fall. Winter sucks, but it is what
I
it
have
is.
a
But I
different winter
did
now.
I did have my first experience with the leaf peepers, the people from out of state, basically just, like, congesting all of the roads coming to see the leaves. It's horribly annoying. Stephen King. I'm a big Stephen King fan. He talks about it all the time in his books, these stupid leaf peepers. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a mild annoyance. And now I'm living it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, fuck them.
I'm pretty sure there's a Family Guy episode where, like, everyone comes in to Quahog because of the leaves or something, and Peter's
Yeah.
freaking out
Oh,
because
yeah, there is one.
they're,
Yeah,
like,
they're
in trees
everywhere.
and shit taking
Yeah,
photos.
it is. It's kind of seems like that. It's pretty funny. But yeah, like I can't even like I live in the back roads. I don't live in the middle of nowhere, but I am in the
Yeah.
woods. And um yeah, like I can't even like take a right out of my off my road onto the main road because it's just all Google Maps is bringing them off the highway all to the back roads. And I'm like, I just want to go to the grocery store. It's 10 minutes away and now it's like a 45-minute ride, going up to Concord. So I just like I would just avoid, I would just avoid going anywhere on Friday, because that's what everyone's going up to the lakes. Everyone's going up to all that. I'm not going anywhere. So got to make sure all my
That's right.
grocery shopping is done earlier in the week.
At what point in your musical career are you gonna quit the band and open a Leaf museum?
Ugh. Maybe now. Now's the time. In between, yeah, I just finished a record. We'll just do a Leaf museum.
Nice. Um, talk to me about family, because family sounds like it's an important part of your life, and it ties into kind of the next part of our conversation, which is around the ups and downs, all of the tumult, if that's the word, that went into Stargod. And then really, wrapping up on the mindset behind how one gets through heavy shit and keeps going, because not everyone can.
Yeah, so the whole situation was, to just put it bluntly, is um my mother-in-law got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she just died for a year, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
And it never got better. She never had any reprieve, and it was just a horrible situation. And we moved to where we moved because we were 6 minutes away from her mom and dad. And we love it up here, so we'd be close. We had our daughter, so she'd be close to her grandparents. I'm an hour from my parents' house. So it was like a perfect situation. But when she was diagnosed, it's like we're the closest. And we were on, you know, the front lines of trying to help her and the family. But at the same time, my wife was having really horrible health problems with endometriosis, which is basically you just get a horrible amount of pain all the time. But it's way worse when you have your cycle or something like. So she was dealing with that while her mom was dying, and she couldn't help. You know, she she physically like couldn't do it because she was in pain herself. So just watching that, and then the poison of the cancer just going through the family, and watching that sort of downfall was just, it was awful. And I had never experienced anything like that before. I've had my grandfather die, and well, my other grandfather, my grandparents died, but it's not like that. It was miserable. And um, yeah, there was, like I said, there was just no reprieve from it.
So you felt like life was just kind of coming at you full force from all these different angles, and at the same time, you're trying to keep things together. You've got a daughter, and you're writing an album. How did you keep going? I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's as easy as saying I'm gonna do it, but it's not that easy, as you and I know.
Yeah, it was, so my daughter went to preschool and for 3 hours 3 times a week, and that's when I worked on it. I would do it at night, and I would do it during preschool. And, my love of music kept me doing it, and I just needed to do it anyways. Um, I was having fun writing, and it was a good break from reality and what was going on. And, just, yeah, it's just I had to do it. Um, but with I'm trying to think of like the timeline here, because the whole plan was we wanted the album done for the Blink 182 tour. Um, but the goalposts just kept moving because I couldn't work on it as much as I could, because she used to help me with Noah, my daughter, and she couldn't help anymore. So I stay at home with her full time when I'm not working. I don't work very often, but um, so my wife works from home. I take care of my daughter. So when she wasn't at school, I was taking care of her, and I didn't want to just like put her in front of the TV. And I want to be present. So it was a lot of balls in the air, and also taking care of my wife when she wasn't feeling good. So we were making dinners and helping over at the in-laws house, and was also helping with my wife and taking care of my daughter. So it was just a lot. It was just a lot to deal with. But like I got really into my synthesizers, and I got really into all of my 80s music, and I found respite in that area. And I had, it really really pulled me. And um I had never played keyboards before, and I wrote all the keyboard parts on the album, and I was very proud of myself for doing that. I basically learned a new instrument, so it was cool. It was a very good distraction.
Yeah. It almost sounds like in some ways, whether it's subconscious or not, you were going back to your childhood, right? Like the movies you grew up on, the '80s, the memories from that time to escape the difficulty of the situation currently. Like, does that hold any water?
Yeah, I think it may have been doing that subconsciously. Um, I was watching a lot of stuff that, I was trying to get myself into the cyberpunk mentality. Like I watched Akira, and I was trying to get into like some of this anime stuff that I had never watched before. It was like I watched Akira, I watched Perfect Blue. It's not a sci-fi movie, but I'm just trying to think of like what I was into. But usually I try to like absorb other art while I'm trying to make art. But one of the problems was is I like pretty fucked up movies, and during a really fucked up time, my wife didn't really want to deal with my fucked up movies. So we watched a lot of 80s action movies, you know?
Fair.
So we were watching like The Viper with Sylvester Stallone and like all of the Clear and Present Danger movies. And they're not even good, like the Jack Ryan stuff. But it was like sort of easy. It's easy
Mm.
watching, you don't have to. I like to have an existential crisis after I finish a movie, and I didn't have to do that with any of these, and neither did
Well,
my wife.
you were living your existential crisis, so you
Yeah,
needed a release
true.
to escape. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, but, like, on my own, I would still watch, like, crazy shit, but, there are still some movies from that time I haven't gotten to yet, like, I think Civil War was on there, and Nosferatu came out a little later, but I haven't watched that yet. I love all, like, that A24
Yeah.
bullshit,
There's a lot of good
so
stuff. So it
yeah.
sounds like art and music was like one of the biggest escapes for you during that time, and is when things are difficult. What's the mindset like? Because so many people have different things. Some people will go into yoga or meditation. Some people have fitness. Some people will fall into books or meditation. Like, do you have anything in specific that you do that as a father, as a creator, as a partner, um, to kind of keep you motivated and thinking clearly and staying positive?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of music. Um, I actually cut out a lot of stuff. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and I used to listen to a lot of audiobooks. And I think over the past 6 months, I've really fallen in love with, not that I wasn't in love with music, but like my soul. Like if I'm in the car, it's music. If I'm doing anything, music. It's like never. I'm trying to just cut out the noise in my life and to stay focused because there's so much happening. And even after my mother-in-law passed away, my wife was still dealing with the endometriosis. So, and she just had the surgery in September. So she's still healing and we're still going through that. And just keeping myself focused on what's important with like my family and just writing and working on music. And I love to play video games. That's like my escape. Um, that's like my one hobby that I justify to myself. I'm just gonna do that, and that's
Mhm.
kind of the three things. Is like I love to listen to music and play video games, and just like cook for my family. I love to cook, so those are the keeping my head on straight. That's what I like to do.
I mean, I've had music before for sure, because that's what a lot of this is about. I've had cooking, but I haven't had video games. That's a good point. Like if done right, they can be very cathartic, very freeing. It's funny is I have my partner has two kids. Her son is autistic, and I've never kind of dealt with autism before. But in trying to learn about him and how to handle him, I found that video games was like one of the greatest things for people with autism because it helps them focus in and channel their
Yeah,
energy. So I can see how, given like all the chaos that was in your world, that's a really good way of focusing in the mind at the time and getting rid of some of that stress
yeah.
and
I love tasks. I love all these crazy Japanese role playing games, and I like overcoming obstacles and So I usually like I'm not usually playing like multiplayer stuff. It's usually like single player role playing games or some sort of like, there's this game, it's called Alan Wake 2. It's I don't know if you're familiar with David Lynch, the
David Lynch, yeah,
director.
but not the
Yeah.
game.
So it's basically if David Lynch made a video game. So it's like there's
Cool.
stuff in video games that is, you know, more than just like shooting, and so you can gain those, that artistic fuel from this stuff because it is art. If anything, it's like the culmination of every single piece of art there is. You have
Mm.
acting, you have music, you have gameplay and story, and it's all just in one. It's a fascinating just culmination of everything. So I really like it.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I've never thought of video game I mean, I grew up with games. I remember
Yeah,
being in that same Roger Williams school and learning a huge life lesson because oh man, I wanted to bring this up on a podcast recently. I forgot about it. There's these two guys, Esteban and Chris Shepard, and I got to this university, and we would smoke and drink, and this was when GoldenEye was happening, and they
yeah,
would just destroy me. And like, I'd get my gun, I'd respawn, and be like, boom, dead.
yeah,
I learned a valuable lesson playing GoldenEye with those cats because if you don't play with the best, you're not going to be the best. And it was constantly getting killed and losing and trying and getting like mad and throwing my beer. Um, that led me to be that good that I was like, a bond lord when it came to that
yeah.
game. Um, but I've never thought of video games as like this kind of culmination of so many different things. Because even music, like original scores and things like that going into it, it's such a good point.
Yeah, there's some incredible game music out there. It's like especially in the Persona series and there's that game Expedition 33 that just won everything at the Game Awards last night. Um yeah, it's just some SoundCloud guy that they found and he's just like ruling the world in the video game soundtracks right now.
I
It's
wonder
incredible. It's weird.
if video games are like the culmination of all the arts perfectly wrapped into one thing. Is that what is the next level AI and us becoming the video game?
Yeah, like
Because
VR stuff.
yeah, or not even VR. What if it's just like, you got the stupid Ray-Ban Meta glasses on or whatever, and all of a sudden the soundtrack is in your head and you become the game that you've been striving to play
Oh
this whole
yeah.
time?
Well, they have that Pokemon Go game that's like that, the AR. 'Cause
Yeah.
you use your phone and you, like, throw Pokeballs at it basically they put them like, they use your camera and they just put them in front of you, but you're looking at your phone. It's weird. Yeah,
I'm worried
AR is cool.
I'm worried that I'm gonna be just an NPC in someone else's game.
Yeah, well, aren't we all, you know?
Yeah, man, fair. Uh, what's it like I mean, the whole Blink thing is fucking awesome, but it just seems like such a odd pairing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was weird, um, for so many reasons, but in all good ways. It was like, when we first started touring and all this stuff, I remember, Casey saying to our manager, he was like, "Yeah, we should do a tour of Blink one day," kind of as a joke. And he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
right." It's like that would work. Like that would never work or whatever. And then, however many years later, our manager called us and was just like, "Dude, I can't believe I'm gonna tell you this." And he's like, you know, someone reached out and Blink 182 wants to know if you want to do a leg of the tour. I was like, "What? What do you mean? Like, how does this happen?" And this is the best part. So it turned out Tom was shown us at a skate park by his friend. He's just like, "Listen to this band." And they're at a skate park and he just plays "I Dream in Lines" on the Bluetooth speaker or whatever. And he just falls in love with the band. And now they're doing a tour and they're all picking bands. And he picks us. And that's it. There's
Wow.
no like manager mumbo jumbo. There's no like pulling strings. It was like, I've been listening to Blink 182 my whole life,
Mm.
and they were the biggest band when I was a kid, and just the fact that Tom was just really into our music And that is what led him to invite us on the tour is like the ultimate validation. It's like we didn't do anything other than be ourselves and we got this
Yeah.
tour. Did we deserve the tour? Not really. Like we don't belong in a stadium, but like we earned it from just being, he liked our music, what else would you want? I don't want the people pulling the strings in the background. I'd rather have an authentic, like, I love this band. Let's get them on.
Yeah, authenticity is so key, and I mean, the proof's in the pudding here. I was, like, half expecting it to be like, Tom DeLonge, he's into UFOs, and there's the connection because he sees some of the imagery, and it was just based on a feel rather than the tunes.
No, it was the music, that's the best. Doesn't get any
That
better
is
than that.
so
Yep.
you were going
So,
through some sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, no, no. I just agreed.
We're, uh We're saying the same thing. So you're going through a ton of stuff. Your mother-in-law passes away. Your wife is unwell, fighting some stuff. You're finding ways to vent and release and keep going. Obviously, music was a huge part of that. I don't know. It's just like the endurance and all. Like, how did you do it? What's the thing that keeps you going? Do you have a mantra? Do you wake up and say, "I gotta fucking do this"? Is there some kind of special thing that Brett does?
Not really. I think I just do it. Um, like with the music stuff, I just love doing it. So it's
Mm,
like, um, there was our manager breathing down our backs a little bit. We need to get this record done. But he was really patient and he
uh-huh.
gave us all the time we needed. And which was great. Everyone was very supportive over this whole process. The other guys in the band and all that. Um, but yeah, just like getting up and doing what I need to do. And I love my wife and my daughter and her family. And it was just, I'm happy to help. I wish I could do more for
Yeah.
everybody. Um, and both sides. I wish I could do more for myself and more for everybody else. So my self-care wasn't the best it could have been at that time, but it's getting a little better now that things are calming down a little bit. But just taking more time and trying to relax and try to get inspiration and I'm starting I just put my studio back together. So I'm starting to dabble with writing a little bit and getting back into it. But at that time, it was just, she goes to school. I had 3 hours to myself and it was just time to work, because that was the only time I had. But I ended up re recording half of it anyways, um, because it was just like you get caught up in it and it's
Uh-huh.
like you just you just got to get it done. But sometimes when you rush things, you don't get the best result, which is why we ended up re-recording the drums at the very end. Um, because after she passed away, I was working on mixing it, a little earlier, and my mother-in-law passed away. Took like 2 or 3 weeks, just completely off, and I had already paused the album like a couple months before um, she passed away, just because I was like, this is I can't do it. Like this, I gotta put the album on the back burner, and we will like this is inevitable, and I need to just focus on family, and then we'll come back and finish the album. So
Mhm.
I stopped 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, whatever it was, and then I went back in the Pro Tool sessions. I'm listening to everything. I'm listening to my mixes. And like the one thing that is holding back the record is the drums. And it's not the performance of the drums, it's where they were recorded. And we recorded them in my basement because we were trying to get it done quicker. And I have good
Uh-huh.
mics and I have a good setup down here, but I don't have a nice big room, and we still rushed it. Like we threw mics on the kit and we called it a day, you know, and we just did it like every weekend. So it was like not even it's like Matt would come over and do like a couple songs, and then a couple weeks later, he would do another one. It was so disjointed because everything was just like, you never knew what was going to happen, you know? So I was like, dude, I ended up redoing all the vocals. I ended up doing a lot of the leads over, and we did the drums completely over in the at Futura in Boston, where we've done all of our other albums. So it ended up being absolutely the right move, but it was not an easy decision to make because, I had to ask Matt. I was like, hey, how fast can you redo these drums? He's like, well, I got a new job. I hadn't talked to him in a while, and turns out he got a new job,
Yeah.
and he's traveling a lot, and just like life life won't wait, right?
Yeah.
Um so and I could tell right there, like at that conversation, because he hadn't told me any of this stuff, um, that he was done. Like I could tell, like he was all set, all done with this. Not in a bad way, but in this year it has taken to get this record done. He had moved on. He's got a job that he really likes, and he is doing all this stuff. So he said he didn't have time to do it, basically. And I was like, okay. So I had to do it, which in turn, which sucks for him because he wants to be on the record. And then he ended up leaving the band because of everything. It wasn't just that one thing. Um, but just having the drums sound the way they did. I got a new kit. I got my dream drum set that I've always wanted. We got into the studio and we did it, Before the tariffs hit, I got the Japanese drum set I always wanted. So
That's amazing. Well, oftentimes the right thing is the hard thing, right? It's not the easy thing. And you guys sounds like you've made a lot of hard decisions, but you've done it much like this conversation. You've done it authentically and organically, and that's the best way to get the best result.
yeah, like I knew if if you heard the old mixes, it's like I did the best what I could do with what I had.
Yeah.
And Matt's kit sounds great, but in a studio with the right mics, like I got a recording custom, a Yamaha recording custom, and they just sound unbelievable. I
Nice.
I don't gig out a lot, so I just got a set. It's gonna live in my house and just be my recording drum set for the rest of my life. I never need another drum set. So, it's just like we did what we needed to do, and the drum sounds on the record I couldn't be any happier with. I think they sound so awesome. So, and redoing all the vocals was huge too, because each time I ended up doing the vocals 3 times because each time I gained a little more confidence, and I also I wanted them to be very upfront on the record because the other records are kind of, hidden in the back a little bit, more of, with the other instruments, but I wanted this to be upfront. I wanted it to be, um, very, um, aggressive and just, confident, and
Mhm.
I didn't get that until the 3rd time I had to do it, and so, I don't know, you gotta that's the other thing though, is, you gotta sometimes put your pride aside and be like, you know, "I can still do this better, and it's gonna take time." And the guys
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, good, Brett's doing the vocals again," you know? It's like that
Yeah.
death clock meme where he deletes the album every time,
Do it
so,
again.
yeah.
Uh, I really appreciate the candid conversation. Every guest is different, and it really feels like you're grounded and you're balanced. You're doing a little bit of everything. There's, taking time for yourself. There's giving to others and taking care of others. You're obviously surrounded by nature a little bit, but also into technology. You're playing some games and using music to relax and focus out. Um, yeah, man.
I
You're
try
doing
my
a lot
best.
of
It's hard. It's a
it's
hard
not easy.
balance. Yeah,
Well,
and I'm
I
horribly sick.
I couldn't even
I
tell today. You crushed it. We're good. You gotta keep
It's
going in life.
unbelievable. I planned all of my, drugs to line up right with the podcast. I what is it? The little, like, breather thing I did all morning, and, like, I did the Navage thing to suck all the snots out of my face, and I was like, "I'm gonna I'm gonna be the best I can for this, like, hour and a half or whatever, and then I'm just gonna die." See?
I appreciate you putting in the effort to perform with me today. That's good.
Yeah. No, no, no. I am a performer. Let me clear my throat. I'm gonna mute my mic for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, go ahead, man. The good news is I'm not gonna keep you any longer. We're at that point in the conversation where I am grateful for your time. I'm grateful for you sharing your life with me and ultimately people that watch and listen to this. I always pass the mic over for the final word. Impart on us some Brett Boland wisdom before we wrap.
The wisdom. The wisdom would be if you are an artist and you want to create, you should create for yourself only and be excited about what you create. And if you want to go anywhere with it, that's not the right reason. Do it for yourself, do it for fun, and yeah, I don't maybe something will come of it. But like, yeah, I don't know. That's it. Do it for yourself. And you'll get better. It may take a
I
while.
love that. Yeah, it definitely does sometimes. I really appreciate it, Brett. Fantastic conversation. You know, you have reminded me of how important it is. Just like the song lyrics, you only get what you give, right? You got a reason to
Mhm.
live. You just have to
Yeah.
keep giving, and it's not about the dollars. It's not about be smart, have a plan for sure, but if you just keep working and building and giving, it will come back tenfold.
Yeah. I had the plan and I followed the plan and the plan worked, you know? And I was in a very lucky situation where I have a very supportive family and I had work that I could rely on. You know, I had to quit and I did go freelance and I'm still freelance. I had to build a freelance business, but not having to rely on music as my income is what has um, kept me going in it because it has never become work. And if we would have had to do way more things that we didn't want to do if it were all about money, you know. But luckily, like we can go on tour because we all put ourselves in a situation where we make money when we're home and we do this the best we can do, you know, when we're out, and it enables us to do our music and stay true to ourselves instead of playing stuff we don't want to do, you know. So.
Yeah. I think that's so I mean, I very badly wanted to just wrap with you, but, you know, you have said some really key things, and one of my guests recently, Dave Nestor, a drummer from a band called Enemy, they're signed to Fixed Music, he's a drum tech as well, and he's had such a huge prolific career as a drum tech, doing things from, like, Disturbed to Lady Gaga, like, all these crazy performances, and he said the same thing. He said, like, "I've been able to have a career and also be a musician, and the 2 things aren't mutually exclusive. It's actually been a blessing because I've never felt pressured about the money and this and that." So, like, artists don't have to sacrifice it all to succeed and vice versa. That doesn't mean you can't, but
No,
you
I
can.
feel like a lot of people feel like they have to. Like, as you get older, you always run into people, it's like, "Oh, I used to play guitar. Oh, I used to play drums." They don't do that anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
why not? This is the like this is the this is where basement musicians live and thrive. Like, you can buy a pedal with 10,000 amps on it, you know, and plug your headphones into it. Like, this is the easiest time to be a basement musician, you know? There's no reason to stop, you know? I feel like a lot of guys that or people are just like, I need to be successful and play in front of hundreds and thousands of people to be a musician, but it's like, just do it if you like to do it. Because you see a little piece of him dead in there, you know? It's like, just do it. What's stopping you? It's like, I got a kid, I got a wife, I got a job. I have to cook meals and remember to take out the trash, but like, I don't know, instead of watching TV, just go play your guitar and buy an interface and make music with GarageBand for, I don't know. You can get a Mac Mini for 400 bucks or something, you know? It's never been cheaper and easier to make music. So, do it.